Okay, in my ongoing quest to become a better gamer, I've just got some improved vision installed, augmented my thumbs. Let's see if I can now beat everyone. Let's go for it. Sorry about that. Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and I've been playing games since the early 1980s. Most of my favourite games came out on the Commodore Amiga, and this series has been allowing me to go back and see whether it's just rose-tinted nostalgia, or if I still feel the same way about them. In each episode, I'll tell you all about a selected game, who made it, and what the critical reception for it was at the time of its release. Then, after playing it again, I'll tell you whether or not I think it's worth playing in 2025. In this episode, I'm taking a fresh look at another game that's been suggested to me by viewers, and that's the action strategy game Syndicate, which was developed by Bullfrog Productions and published by Electronic Arts in 1993. Bullfrog Productions began life in 1987 as a subsidiary of Taurus Impact Systems, a business software developer based in Guildford. Founders Peter Molyneux and Les Edgar had met in 1982 and become friends, and the name Bullfrog, chosen because they felt they needed a more light-hearted name, was chosen from an ornament on the office desk. They were approached by a friend of Molyneux's to produce the Amiga version of the hit Commodore 64 Gauntlet clone, Druid 2 Enlightenment, and that was to become their first game. This was swiftly followed by Fusion, a fast-scrolling action shooter which was picked up and published by Electronic Arts, although neither of these games were particularly huge hits. According to an interview with Molyneux in Retrogamer, after just 2 games the company were running low on money, and Edgar even suggested shutting the company down. It was at this point that Molyneux came up with the idea for a new game called Populous, where you had to build villages and then guide your followers to take over the world. In the process, he created an entirely new genre, the God game. It was a game unlike anything else around at the time, and consequently a very difficult game to find a publisher for. Fortunately, Electronic Arts took a chance on it, and the result is one of the highest rated games of 1989, a multiple award winner, and a game that sold over 4 million copies. When Amiga Power magazine launched in 1991, they placed it at number 6 on their all-time top 100. Eager to capitalise on the game's success, EA wanted a sequel as soon as possible, especially as the market had quickly become flooded with a number of copycats. What they got instead was Powermonger, a real-time strategy game once again designed by Molyneux. That same year, they also released the puzzle platformer Flood. By this time, Bullfrog now employed around 20 people and had moved to bigger offices. Following the 1991 sequel to Populous, it would then be a 2-year wait to see what they did next. And what they did next was Syndicate. Although I was well aware of the games of Bullfrog and an admirer of their work, they didn't really make games that interested me too much at this time. Yet here was an action-packed dark sci-fi game that seemed right up my alley. My first experience of Syndicate was a cover disc demo that was given away with Amiga Action magazine, and I think it's safe to say that I would not have gone out and bought the game without that demo. Bullfrog were acquired by EA in early 1993 for a fee believed to be around £29 million. Following the release of Dungeon Keeper, Molyneux would eventually leave and go on to found Lionhead Studios, where he would create games such as Black and White, the movies, and the Fable trilogy on Xbox. Games continued to come out from Bullfrog, including the excellent Theme Hospital, Populous the Beginning, and Syndicate Wars, all games which I played on the PlayStation. However, the studio was eventually closed by EA following the release of Theme Park Inc. in 2001. The Syndicate series was revived in 2012 with what I consider to be one of the best first-person shooters ever released on the Xbox 360, developed by Starbreeze Studios. Peter Molyneux has gone on to become one of the most recognisable people in the games industry, appearing in multiple documentaries and appearing on stage at various gaming presentations. He is currently running the Studio 22 Cans, working on the recently announced Masters of Albion, returning to the genre that he helped create 30 years ago. Les Edgar left the games industry altogether in the early 2000s and went on to work in the motoring industry instead. There, he was instrumental in Aston Martin's return to motorsport and has sat as the chairman of TVR since 2013. Now let's look back and see what the reviews said about Syndicate at the time of its release. Reviews of Syndicate started to appear in June of 1993, with both CU Amiga and the One Amiga being the first to publish their thoughts. Both were 4-page reviews, and between them they managed to give both the highest and lowest scores that the game would receive. CU Amiga awarded it 94% and stated that it was one of the best games that they had played in years. They absolutely revelled in the amount of carnage that your team was able to unleash and loved the dark sci-fi aesthetic. David Upchurch in The One similarly enjoyed the action, but said that he could have done without the world domination aspect between missions, as he felt it got in the way. He still gave it 88% though. With only 6% separating the best and worst scores, this was definitely one of the highest reviewed games ever for the Amiga. Even the usually hard to please Amiga Power gave it 91% in their review and instructed readers to ignore everything that they had put in their downers box, as all the points were so minor that they wouldn't spoil your enjoyment of the game. If you were playing the game on the A1200 though, they upped the score by 2% to 93, as the action was so much faster and smoother on the more powerful machine. Multi-format magazines usually gave more favourable reviews to console releases in my experience, yet CMVG still gave it 91% in their review. This was a higher score than they gave both Mortal Kombat on the Mega Drive and Lost Vikings on the SNES in the same issue. From the 8 reviews that I found in UK magazines, the average score was 91.1%, which may be the first time that I've seen an average score above 90. On Lemon Amiga, the user score is 8.76 out of 10 from 355 votes, and that places it at number 21 on their top 100. Now it's time to load the game up and play it again for myself. It's time for the playtest. We have a nicely rendered atmospheric intro to kick things off here. I think it sets the scene pretty nicely. Right, so first thing I need to do is configure my company. So let's sort myself out with the logo. Right, so let's begin the game. Now, if you are able to, I would suggest that you play this from a hard drive, because the loading pauses when you play it from floppy disk are pretty horrendous. So this kicks things off with a nice, simple assassination mission. Intelligence reports indicate that an army colonel is stealing resources from your weapons division, so time to take him out. If you want to spend extra money, you can enhance the map or get additional info, but I don't think we need to do that. And then for this first mission, we're actually only going to need one agent. Okay, so as you can see on the map in the bottom left here, there is a indicator showing which direction your target is likely to be. You've got a few hits in there. That wasn't intended. Right, so literally the target is in this building here. Nice and simple. Mission completed. And there he is. Okay, so now that I've taken over that territory, I am now able to move into this next one. But before I do that, you can actually start messing around with your taxation levels for the population. So I'm going to raise this to 40%, because it says that they're currently very happy. So why not? What I think we need to do as soon as possible here is, in the assault category, let's research that. And then what you can do when you have 2 agents is, if you click this button in the middle here, you can control all of them at once. As you can see, when you're playing it on an A1200, everything does move much faster and smoother than if you were playing it on a 500. What I do find a little bit frustrating about the game is that the path finding of your agents is sometimes a little bit sketchy. So then the person that we need to turn to our side is inside this building. So I'm going to take agent number 1, who has the Persuadertron, into the building. And this is the other little annoying thing, is that once you're actually inside the building, you've got no idea how to actually get anywhere. But there you go, I have persuaded the guy, and he'll be coming out here with me now. All of these additional weapons that I have picked up will get automatically submitted to the research department when you return to your base. And so now that I have persuaded everybody I need to do, and it's time to exit the mission where we started. Honestly, the similarities to Cannon Fodder in terms of the way you play it, with like one click to walk to an area, right button to fire in that direction. It's almost as if two development teams had the same idea, completely independent of each other, and then both produced a game with their own style of that idea.
Mission completed.
Especially with both games coming out so close together. Ooh, we now have the ability to have flamethrowers. How much are they? 1,500. Let's give all agents a flamethrower. Right. So in order to get into this town, you need to actually be in the car. So because otherwise you can't get through these checkpoints. So get all agents together and click on the car to get in it, and then click where we want the car to drive to. And then you just click on the car again to get out. Oh dear, sorry about that. Oh no, one of my agents is down. Oh, that's 2 agents down. And now we need to evacuate. And then click outside of the city. And hopefully the car will go that way. Yep, it will.
Mission completed.
Apparently I had no bullets fired. That's because I flamethrowed everybody to death. Okay, we're on another assassination mission here. Unfortunately, they've inserted it's a scientist who has been brainwashed, but unfortunately they've inserted a small chip into his brain which detects the activity from a persuadertron and blocks the signal. So therefore we're just going to kill him. Right, so this is an assassination mission now. So let's see if we can find our way to all the agents that we need to kill. As much as I like the asymmetric graphics, I do think it's a shame that you can't rotate the view, because as you can see in that instance there, an agent came up to us from behind a building that we didn't even know was there. Where did they come from? So my main target is apparently in this direction. The only problem with the flamethrower is that you have to get pretty close in order to use it. Is my target inside that building? I believe they are. Yeah, there's one person inside that building. That is my target. So unfortunately, you're unable to see inside the buildings. So I don't know where this person is. Yeah, mission complete. There we go. Hooray. But one of my agents died. That's never a good thing. It's also a shame that you can't go back and redo missions to try and persuade, particularly the ones where you have to persuade people to join your cause. Be nice to go back and just persuade more agents to join you. Right, so I've got 60,000 credits to spend. What else can I give them? If I give them a better chest, that's probably a good idea, because that's extra armor for them. What you actually can do as well is you can increase the awareness of your enemies by giving them drugs. But obviously, if you do this too much, then you run the risk of turning them into addicts. number of agents at once all came at me. The only downside to killing them with a flamethrower, of course, is the fact that that they don't leave weapons that you can tell. Oh, apparently that was all of them, so I just need to evacuate. Fairly simple, that one, really. By the way that this level has started me with a car right there, I'm assuming that means I have to get in it. It's inside that building, isn't it? Who's got the Persuadertron? He has. Where are you going? You're supposed to be persuading people. I've got no idea how to get in there. I have failed this mission miserably. Oh my, right, okay, alright, I need to go up there. Right, got it. I'm getting confused here because that agent looks exactly the same as mine. Got him! Right. Well, unfortunately, I need to find a car to be able to evacuate, don't I? Let's get on the train. The train will now go to this station here. Why are some of my men not getting off the train? Idiots. Mission failed? Oh, I'm assuming that the person I was supposed to persuade died. Oh dear. And here is the CEO, not particularly happy. Right, well, I think that's going to be a good place to end this quick playtest, and then move on to the re-review and summarise my thoughts. I've always thought of Syndicate as the more serious, grown-up cousin to Cannon Fodder. Both games came out around the same time, featured a similar control system, and had you guide your squad through missions where any casualties were permanent. That's where the similarities end, though. On the whole, I really liked the isometric graphics, as they perfectly capture the cyberpunk vibe that the developers were going for. I must say that I've always felt that it's a shame that you can't rotate the view though, as getting caught behind scenery was often the direct cause for my failing a mission. I also never really felt any attachment to my agents, so when they perished, their deaths weren't as tragic or devastating as they are in Sensible's game. I'd have honestly liked a little bit more choice in what missions you can undertake, particularly in the game's early stages, and having the options to replay earlier missions would have made me want to come back and play it a lot more. I also found that the difficulty ramps up far too quickly. As early as the third mission, you're coming up against agents that can kill yours with a single shot if you're not careful. There is definitely a lot to like about this game, and I understand why people hold it in such high regard. But it's also not really a game that I feel compelled to go back and play as much as some others. As enjoyable as it can be, particularly when you're going on a flamethrower rampage, it's a very frustrating game to play. Your agents don't always go where you want them to, navigating the maps can be at times overly fiddly, and trying to move around inside buildings is an absolute pain. Like other Bullfrog releases, I admire this game, but also accept that it's not really a game for me. As far as the Super League is concerned, there is really only one game that's better than this one, but I would always rather play that one than this. If someone was to announce a remake or sequel to this one, that would honestly be amazing, but replaying the Amiga version makes me feel like I can't really award it higher than a 7 or 8 out of 10. Hey, has anybody told you about the VIP memberships that we do right here on the channel? Not only will you get early access to most of the videos that we post, you'll also get exclusive access to full reruns of any live streams that we do, plus exclusive membership content. You'll even get one of these little badges that you can put on your name whenever you comment on anything, just to show people how long you've been a member for. If that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, it's only £1.99 a month, and you can find full details of how you can become a member in the video description, or just click the link on screen right now. You'll even get to help us choose what games we cover in future episodes of both the Re-Review and Retro Game Super Leagues. So why not check it out? Thank you for watching this episode of the Re-Review. I really hope you enjoyed it. Syndicate is just one of many games that have been suggested for me to cover by viewers, and if you want to do the same, please feel free to join our Discord by following the link. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe to show your support for the channel. I may not have liked this game as much as I expected to, but I have really enjoyed revisiting it. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, taking a look at the history of one of the UK's longest running developers, as I replay another viewer suggestion in the shape of Leander from Traveller's Tales. VIP members get to watch all of our videos earlier than anyone else, so if you think that's something that's worth $1.99 a month, why not consider joining yourself? All the details of how you can do that are in the video description. Remember, the opinions expressed in this video are purely my own, and I would love to hear yours in the comments. So until next time, happy retro gaming, bye for now.